Very few corners of the United States have not been impacted by uprisings across the nation. Something of particular interest to us was the fact that Amazon voiced its support of the protests.
Indeed, Amazon's official website tweeted this: "The inequitable and brutal treatment of Black people in our country must stop. Together we stand in solidarity with the Black community, our employees, customers, and partners in the fight against systemic racism and injustice." The Intercept's DC Bureau Chief Ryan Grimm joins us now via Skype to share his thoughts on this. Ryan, great to see you.
Good to see you, Ryan.
Good to see you.
What did you make of this tweet from Amazon?
Well, you have to consider the business implications of the uprising. Nobody has been in a better corporate position to capture not just kind of market share, but dominance over kind of the entire idea of selling things and eventually producing things, not just in the United States, but around the globe as a result of this pandemic. Amazon trucks go everywhere. At all times. And so there is a real concern among Amazon executives that these uprisings are going to disrupt how they can conduct business. In fact, just a few moments ago, they announced that they're going to be making alterations to their routes, to their delivery schedules, and to the way they do business in order to try not to get caught up in these protests. And at the same time, there's something of a kind of fight club mentality going on here in the sense that Amazon executives don't know precisely who is out protesting and how many of those protesters overlap with people who work for Amazon. Right. Amazon has some of the most draconian employment policies that have ever been devised in the modern economy, and so there is a ton of angst among workers and subcontractors for Amazon, and they certainly don't want that unleashed inside an Amazon warehouse.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing that struck me, Ryan. I mean, as somebody, what side of the aisle that you find yourself on, I'm really curious, which is that, is there any introspection about why so much of accumulated capital like Citibank and Amazon and all these other people find themselves in alliance with a bunch of people who claim they want to tear down the system?
So since President Obama was elected in 2008, cultural elites have been quite comfortable with the side of social liberalism, with supporting marriage equality, supporting racial justice, and that I think what you're seeing among a lot of cultural elites is hoping that they can contain this to social liberalism, to civil rights, hoping that it doesn't go elsewhere. We got some visitors.
Hey guys.
I think that's well said. And Ryan, we wanted to get your thoughts on one other issue. As we watch the footage unfolding across the country, we saw a number of journalists come under attack. We have some of that footage. Let's take a look.
So you can see there, Ryan, that obviously there's a lot of violence against some of the journalists that we've seen, and that's something that's very concerning to both of us. It began with the arrest of that CNN journalist. What do you make of so much of this? And I'm sure you and we all have many colleagues who've been affected this way. What do you think, Ryan?
I mean, it varies from city to city, but what you're seeing in a lot of places can't be described as anything other than a police riot. And it's the culmination of an immunity that police have felt over the last 10 to 20 years, connected to a militarization of policing, where rather than protecting and serving, the ethos of a police officer often is now, what do I need to do to get myself and my partners home safely at night? And any means toward that end then becomes justified, and the civilian population becomes just that, an other, civilians that they are kind of rolling through and that they look at as threats. And when they actually are somewhat of a threat because they're so furious in the streets, then they stop becoming, they stop relying on their training around crowd control and just turn into rioters, and the police are primary rioters here.
Mm-hmm. Total breakdown all around. Yeah. Ryan, always great to have your perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. All right, we'll have more Rising for you right after this.